Media. Very few podcasts that get started ever make it past 5 to 7 episodes, 5 to 10 episodes, let alone 2 years, let alone like us here, who we are at, in the 340s as far as number of episodes. Hi, my name is Ronnie Cruz. After almost 2 decades as a career network marketer, I realized that despite continual work on my personal and professional development, that I had hit a massive brick wall. So I took a deep and honest look at myself, top to bottom, hoping to find answers, and my search led me to one conclusion. The definitions I held of my business, of my world, of my life, were the very things holding me back. If I wanted to change, if I wanted to grow beyond my current circumstances, I had to wipe the slate clean and redefine. This show is dedicated to helping you identify the belief systems, the mindsets, the very definitions that have held you back, and then help you break through those limitations to finally create the life you've been working so hard to achieve. Welcome to the ReDEFINE podcast. Okay, happy podcast day, and happy 2-year anniversary edition here at ReDEFINE, celebrating 2 years of podcasting. Well, not consistently necessarily, but we'll get into that in just a second. I thought I would do a celebration for the 2-year mark. It's quite a milestone. I mean, for me, it doesn't feel like too huge of a deal. If you listen to the last episode, I did kind of forget that it was the anniversary. However, I did want to celebrate it and commemorate it in a way that, again, number one, it is an accomplishment. It is quite a milestone, especially in the podcasting world where, very few podcasts that get started ever make it past 5 to 7 episodes, 5 to 10 episodes, let alone 2 years, let alone like us here, who we are at, in the 340s as far as number of episodes. So it is a little bit of accomplishment. I'm very proud of it, but it's also, I think, a celebration, just as much a celebration of you. Right, it's a celebration of your support and your dedication, not to listening to the show or to the content, but your dedication to your own growth. So, if you're brand new, if you're a first-time listener, first of all, welcome. But if you've been following this show for any length of time, 1, 2, 3 episodes or more, or 2 years, then it is definitely a celebration of you, because you are on, this growth journey, and I hope to continue to be a part of that journey as much as I can through the ReDEFINE podcast. So today, I just really want to share a retrospective of what's happened in the last 2 years. Just reflect back on all the things, all the changes, all the different seasons that have happened here for the show, and obviously in my life. And then maybe share an overarching lesson with you at the end of it. Like what lesson can I impart to you as a result of reflecting back on these 2 years. I'm not going to get into like all the lessons, because 2 years is a long time, but no overarching lesson I think can help you in all aspects of your life. Let's just kick it right off with the retrospective. So let's go back to 2021. I know I said this is a 2-year anniversary, but you'll see where I'm going with this. 2021 was actually when I started my first podcast. The intention was to start a podcast to grow my brand, to grow my personal recognition, just to grow my reach. As a way to, then as an extension, as a way to grow my business, my network marketing businesses, as well as, whatever businesses grow out of that, as an extension, right? So it was really predominantly the primary aim was to grow my business. I chose Star Wars, and for those of you watching the video, you know I like Star Wars. I chose Star Wars and personal development because those are two things that I'm passionate about, and so that became kind of the theme of the show. As I got going, as I started producing the show, and we got some traction, and I got episodes under the belt, I started realizing that I didn't want it to be, I didn't want the main purpose for that particular show to be about growing my business, right? Because again, I'm so passionate about those two things and mixing them together. I wanted to be completely unique to itself without any other agenda of building a business or having it grow my brand, or being part of my marketing. I just wanted it to be for its own sake. And so that's when I decided to start a second podcast called Path of the Network Marketer. So you see the trend, right? It started with Path of the Jedi. And so the second podcast was going to be called Path of the Network Marketer. Again, more business focused, network marketing focused for sure. And really sharing with you all the stuff that I was learning at the time about marketing. And that's when this show was born. September 1st, 2023 was the very first episode of Path of the Network Marketer. That's where Path Media was born. The initial goal for this show, was to do an episode, release and publish and release an episode every day for 100 days, just as a grand experiment to see what kind of traction I can get. I picked that up from Russell Brunson. And so I did it for 100 days. It was great. I did a retrospective then, and I was like, why don't I go for 200? I went for 200 days. And so I did another 100 days and it hit that mark. And so once I got to 200, I was like, man, I might as well go to 365, right? Do a whole year of releasing a podcast episode every day. And I was well on my way. Around the spring, well, in 2023, after the new year, I really started focusing heavily on influencer marketing, content creation, and adapting that to the network marketing language. It was really because, my observation of the marketplace and of network marketing was that the marketplace was shifting dramatically, or had shifted dramatically. Consumer behavior had changed, company and business behavior had changed, and how they were using the internet to interact with each other, and network marketing largely, we were continue to operate under antiquated mindsets and principles. Yes, network marketers have leveraged the internet and social media, but we're still, the way we were thinking about it wasn't quite catching up to the rapid changes that were happening. And so my idea was to start really aggressively redefining network marketing, right? And so from January 2023 on, I started focusing heavily on content creation. This show started focusing on influencer marketing and talking about how we need to shift network marketing to more of just regular marketing, right? And start behaving more like affiliates, because that's kind of the language that everybody understands. And so earlier that year, I did an influencer masterclass. It was a 3-day masterclass, first free course that I taught. In April, I did network marketing in the digital age. And then in May, I did my first paid course, which was the ReDEFINE Network Marketing weekend event. ReDEFINE Network Marketing virtual event. And so that was all, of course, in conjunction with doing an episode a day here on the show, publishing, multiple times a day on some of the social platforms. And I was really getting into a groove. I mean, culminating in a paid course. It's no small feat. What happened at the end of May, in May, when I did the ReDEFINE Network Marketing virtual event, my dad's health started to really, really decline. It was already in bad shape, right? The health was going downhill over the last 12 months to 24 months prior. But in May, it had really taken a bad turn, and by the end of May, my dad had passed away. And so, I saw, it was just, and not to be callous or cold, but it was just a massive disruption to everything that I had going on. You know what I mean? Of course, in life in general, right? To my life and to the lives of my family, but especially in the context of what we're talking about here on the show. I stepped away, right? I shelved everything. I shelved the show. I shelved putting in work in my network marketing business. I shelved marketing. I shelved, my content creation and the influencer marketing stuff. So I pretty much shelved everything, and I did so intentionally, right? I have, and I talk about this a lot, right? Raising your level of self-awareness so that you can, give yourself the things that you need in the various seasons of your life. At that particular time, I knew and made the conscious decision that I wanted to kind of just take a break from everything, and I did that. circumstances after a couple months of shelving everything pulled me back into network marketing sooner than I had preferred. And so a couple months after I got back into network marketing, I with the same company, by the way. I picked this show back up in November of 2023 with the twice a week cadence, right? So Tuesday and Thursday is when I started doing that. Well, November was when I started doing Tuesday and Thursday episodes, and we've stuck to that. Now, since then, I have really shifted away from the marketing side. Like earlier this year, like I would say the first 2 quarters, quarter and a half to 2 quarters of this year, 2024, I was really focused on digital marketing, right? Because there's a digital marketing craze happening. There was all these courses on how to make money on social media, and that was really the hype. So I was kind of leaning into that and kind of wanting to figure out just kind of learn their process and what they're doing, what these affiliate marketers and these digital marketers, so to speak, were doing. But then I realized, like, okay, something fell into my lap, predictive social media, out of the blue, and but with the urging of my mentors, they said, take a look at this and see what you think. And so I took a look at predictive social media, and I completely shifted everything that I was doing, my attention away from marketing to networking, right? To using the platforms, the social media platforms, especially Facebook, in the way to build my business in the way that I was already really proficient in offline, right? So it like networking on social media came much more naturally to me and made much more sense because I was doing it offline. I had been doing it offline for years. And so, learning to do that online now with social media in a more effective way and not being salesy and not being aggressive has really I mean, I think my time has been better spent. I'm, of course, just still slowly integrating as I've adjusted with my schedules and the circumstances that have changed over the last handful of months. But I've found that it's more in alignment with where I am now in life. Networking, developing relationships, developing rapport, and using those strategies and systems to build my business as opposed to marketing. Now, I am still learning marketing in the background. However, I'm not sharing that necessarily with you guys because I'm more focused on the things that are working for me right now. And the marketing stuff, affiliate marketing and the influencer marketing is taking a back burner. I'll eventually get back to sharing that stuff with you. But the networking side, I think, is something that we all do. I mean, we all know how to make friends for the most part, right? Some better than others, but it's a skill you can develop offline. And so it's certainly a skill you can develop online to help you generate sales and help you build your business, regardless of what business you have, whether it's network marketing, whether it's a brick and mortar, whether it's you're a solopreneur, whatever the situation, especially for smaller scale businesses. It's something that I think is easily as effective, if not more effective, than marketing. One of the things about marketing was that there is such a barrier in terms of the learning curve that it's not readily accessible, right? And it's certainly much harder to teach, right? It's as difficult as it is to learn, it's even harder to teach. And so, networking again is something I think we all are naturally born able to do. You just got to improve your skills, right? And so that's where we are today. We got a new episode every Tuesday and Thursday. The focus of the show, going from path of the network marketer to redefine, is again helping you redefine those things in your life, those narratives in your life that you may not know are holding you back, so that you can make forward progress, right? And that's really what it's all about, right? The overarching lesson is progress. Keep going. I know that might sound cliche, that might sound trite, but like the conversation around keeping going and the principle of sticking to something and forward motion. It's easy to get complacent and just go with routine and go with the flow, because the flow isn't horrible for the most part, right? You can kind of coast and rely on the existing systems, and get by through life. But if you don't want to just get by, complacency is your enemy, right? You have to keep going. You have to keep moving forward. The thing about complacency is you might think that, okay, complacency, if I just do what everybody else is doing, or, if I just go with the flow of life and, fall into the things that I fall into and just coast, it at the very worst, I'm just going to be stagnated, right? And that's not the truth. Complacency is not stagnation. It does not equate to stagnation. Complacency actually is regression, right? Because if you're complacent and you think you're being stagnant, if you're not doing anything basically, other than what you've continued to do and have done, then the rest of the world around you is actually moving forward. If you're complacent, you're not standing still, because relative to the rest of the world that's moving forward, you're actually regressing. So it is. I mean, if you think about the theory of relativity, it's general relativity. Sorry, I can't pronounce things today. It's general relativity. If you think you're standing still, you're not. You're actually regressing, because the rest of the world is moving forward. And so that's the overarching lesson: is just keep going, right? Yes, things will happen. Challenges will come your way. Adversity is always part of the journey. Heck, you can have situations where you'll have to shelve things and pick them back up again. But as long as in the long term you keep going and keep moving forward, you can be a total disaster. You can bungle your way through. And by the way, there is no such thing as perfect. No matter how good your plan is, no matter how good your execution is, it's never going to go perfectly. So you can have it all well thought out, well planned, well executed, or you can even bungle your way through it, fail your way through it, take breaks and shelve things when you need to. No matter what, in the long term, if you keep going, you're always going to be making forward progress. You're always going to be progressing, right? And I think that's really important. No matter, in all aspects of life, if we're talking about business and marketing, entrepreneurism, if we're talking about health, if we're talking about relationship, if you're talking about your own personal growth journey, all of those things, every aspect of life is potentially positively, no, not potentially, it will be positively affected if you just keep moving forward. Again, you can be a total disaster, but as long as you have a high level of self-awareness, or you develop that high level of self-awareness, no matter what happens, no matter how much you bungle through it, no matter what challenges you face, that self-awareness will allow you to see and then learn from the lessons. And that's what creates the forward motion, not the actual attainment or the achievement of things. And mile markers are great, right? Hitting 2 years is great. It's not so much that, it's the growth that happens on the journey. And I talked about that in the last handful of episodes. Embracing that journey. The journey only happens if you continue to move forward, right? The journey only happens if you keep going. So that's my message. Just keep going. It's never going to be perfect. You might bungle your way through, but as long as you have a high level of self-awareness, you can learn through every step of the way. And that is the way to continue to progress forward. All right, so that's my message for today. Happy 2-year anniversary to you. Thank you for continuing to support this. If you are not yet subscribed or following the show, please follow the show, subscribe to the video version of this, share these episodes with anybody that you might think could benefit from it. I mean, if you like this content and if you get something out of it, chances are somebody else will as well. And of course, for those of you who are listening to this on Apple Podcasts, please hit me with a rating and a review, and that'll help us out a lot. Get the word out more. Oh, one thing I did forget, as far as growth in the last 2 years, I mean, it's been nominal. I will admit, growth for this show has spiked quite a bit, relatively, right? Has spiked quite a bit in the last 2 weeks. Where our downloads are up much higher than they have been historically. So that's a plus. YouTube, since February, has grown about 60 or so followers. So that's also a plus. So there is something to be said about consistency and keeping going, right? Just keep going. Again, you can bungle through as long as you're making small adjustments, as long as you have a high level of self-awareness and you're willing to kind of objectively look at things, you'll make progress. Okay, so that's it. I want to throw that in. Thanks for tuning in. I know this was a longer episode than normal, but I'm glad to be here, and here's to the next 2 years and beyond. We'll catch you on Thursday with a fresh new one. So until then, be well, be safe. We'll see you in the next episode.